Hello and welcome to another episode of Influence and Growth Mastery. Today, I have with me Julie Trombley, and I met her in Alignable. As you know, I meet so many people there, and she is another successful entrepreneur, and she helps you tackle your to-do, and she helps you streamline your operations, enhance your engagement through automation, and nurture your client base more effectively. And she has extensive experience with one of the industry's leading CRMs, and that stands for Customer Relationship Management. I take it for granted because oftentimes I think people knows what that means, but just in case, that's your customer relationship management system. And the one that she works with is called Entreport. And so she'll share a little bit throughout the podcast. We'll talk about that. But Julie, I want to welcome you to the show today. I'm so glad that you're here. I love the journey that you're on because it's one that so many of us need. I'll tell you that there's days when my to-do list can be this long, and then there's days when it can be this long, and then there's days where it's pages long. So I know you probably have met other people just like me. And so share with us, again, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. But share with us today your journey into the world of what you do, into the CRM systems, and how you got started.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Tonya, for having me. It's a pleasure to be here and happy to talk about CRMs and automations. So I worked in tech most of my corporate career, and in the last 26 years, it was within realtor associations, where I spent the last 19 years running the association management systems. AMS. There's acronyms for everything. So when I decided to start my own business, since I'm techie, I was kind of doing just kind of random tech support for people. I had a coach that asked me if I had heard of Entreport, and I hadn't. She, said, I'd look into it if I were you. I know a lot of people need support with that platform. So I did. I looked into it, and a few months later, I became certified with Entreport. And I guess, as the saying goes, the rest is history.
You were hooked.
Yeah. And I love what I do, and I love working within the platform, and helping to build out the platform for my clients and getting it to do what they need it to do for their business.
That is so awesome. So tell me, Julie, how does working with helping people build out their customer management system, how does that correlate with also helping them work on their to-do list and becoming more efficient in their operations?
A big thing is getting them to get everything into one platform as much as possible, so they're not having to go to all these different platforms to do all the different tasks. And that's freeing up their time and their energy and probably their money, because if you look at, how much time they're spending and calculating it more on how much they charge per hour to go into all these different platforms, it's just helping them, to streamline as much of their processes as possible. And just also kind of taking stock of what are the manual things they're doing, the manual processes they're doing. And, if it's sending a form when somebody gets onboarded, are they sending videos? What's the best way to reach you? These are all things that you can automate, that once you, whether it's a payment has been processed or a field updated in the record, it's going to trigger off an automation that's going to just handle all these things for them automatically, so they're not having to oh, I got to go, into Google and send out an email, and I got to send them this form, and I'll make sure they get this link. We're doing everything in the back end, and it's freeing up their time. And especially when I work with coaches, they're more of the visionaries that, they want the time not only to figure out how they're going to scale and grow their business, but they need that time also to spend with their clients. And by automating these processes, that's going to give them more time for their clients.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree 100%. One of the things, and I want to really get into here in just a little bit, sharing with the audience, and there's different types of people who listen. So you've got maybe your people that don't even have a CRM at all, that need to know why do they need one, and then, or what they need to be looking for in one. And then you've got those who purchased one and don't use it at all, and maybe are, need to pick it up, dust it off, and start using it. Where's the best place to start using it again? And then you've got people who maybe use it for a contact management, but don't use it for other things. So, one of the things that is very critical, for me, there's multiple ways that I use it, but one of the things that I've used one for a very long time, and I've gone to and used several different ones from way back when. And so let's just start with the different types of contact management systems. And I'll go to the old time manual one, because I call that a contact management system, which was the Rolodex. And, why should somebody use an electronic one today? It's the same reason why they used the Rolodex way back when, is that when you are having conversations with people today, you mentioned, storing the contact information, who you met with, storing a note of what you met about. All of those things are important to put in there. When I left my corporate job, I brought 3 boxes, pretty good sized boxes, probably about like this, of business cards with me. I wasn't able to bring my contact list because obviously that belonged, to the company. And so I couldn't export that and bring it with me. So I had to rekey a lot of that type of stuff in. But I wanted those contacts because they mean something to me. Your network is your net worth, right? Yeah. So, and then as I meet with people today, it's important to me to put, associated to your name, your email, phone number, if I have it. Where can I connect with you? Your social media accounts. What do you do? So that if I meet someone, I know that you help people get organized. You help people, build out CRMs. What your CRM is, so that I know one that I can recommend to somebody. And so those things they're important. What about building out courses? Does Entreport allow that for, small business owners and entrepreneurs and other things that help them become efficient? Talk about some of those types of things that entrepreneurs should be looking for, that you in your business too could help them from a build out process, could help them become more efficient in, especially if they're trying to grow their business, become more efficient and whatnot with Entreport specifically, since that's the one that you work with.
So the biggest thing is you need to start with a good foundation. So, if you're using a different platform, an email platform like a MailChimp or a MailerLite or something like that, that you want to bring those contacts into Entreport, but you also want to have them segmented accordingly. Like you want to have like what lead magnet did they come through? What did they purchase? You want to have them tagged appropriately because you want your list segmented appropriately because you want the right information to go to the right people at the right time. I've had times where I've gotten emails from people selling me something that I've already bought and used, and I'm still getting emails. Like, you want to make sure. And something else too is, having CRM and automation that's not just set it and forget it. You remember those crock pot commercials, it's not that. You have to constantly be checking, making sure automations are working, first of all. Are they converting? Are there, did something break along the way that you need to just constantly audit your automations. But just building that basic foundation of, like a lead magnet and a nurture series where you can be building your email list. That is kind of for newer coaches that I've worked with. That's kind of where we start. And maybe like a new client automation. What does that look like? A new client onboarding, and automating that process as much as possible. So first and foremost is just getting that basic foundation set. And then and you can start at a lower rate with the platform because just to build that out. But then as you grow and you want to do a membership site or courses and lessons, the platform grows with it. You can increase based on the number of clients you have or what features you need to be unlocked. But yes, you had said something about courses. Yeah, you can do courses. You can do membership sites. You can build your website right in there if you'd like. And all your landing pages. If you have a WordPress or Wix or Squarespace or anything like that, you can create a form within Entreport and embed it on these other websites. So everything is still coming into one place. I've worked with some coaches that are like, I got a form. Okay, where does that form go? Who gets that? Where, are you getting notified that somebody filled out your contact us form? So like, I'd like to put a contact us form, their lead magnet form on their website, have just the footer where somebody can sign up to get on their email list. But all those forms, if it's on a different site other than Entreport, have them all embedded. So from an Entreport form, so that information is coming in. So they're not having to go in and manually enter that information into the platform. And then trigger the appropriate nurture series based on whichever form they filled out.
Yeah. So basically, one could look at it like a one-stop shop marketing agency, if you would. Well, with the exception of maybe posting their social media.
Right. Yeah. It doesn't post the social
post.
media.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It's going to take care of their funnels. Maybe, maybe calendar. Does it allow for them to schedule and booking appointments?
Yep. That is something new that they've recently rolled out is there is self-scheduling that's available. You could do virtual events through there. Your blog, like my website is built within Entreport and my blog is set up in a way that it's called dynamic content that I can preload it with all my blog stuff and then it will automatically post on the day I say I want it to post and it will shift around on my website. It just does everything in the back end for me. It's amazing. So yeah, there's just so many different things that it can do. And then, I post the blog and then I send an email out to my list that says, new blogs up and, then I send a link right back to my blog page and get more, people visiting my website that way too.
Mm-hmm. What's so amazing to me today, Julie, is all of the tools that are out there today is, the automation, directly to the paywalls, the click and drag for the websites, the funnel building templates, adding the calendar, adding the AI functionality. They're making it so extremely easy for, I consider myself pretty techie as well.
Mhm.
but they're making it so easy for the people who are not technologically savvy that even they can do it.
Right.
And that's what I love so much about where the companies are moving today.
Mhm.
Because previously, you couldn't purchase something like that without having an IT team.
Right.
Uh, but today, you can, and then hire people like you
Mhm.
that can coach them and guide them and make sure that they're making the best decisions and
Right.
going in the right direction to be successful in their business.
Mhm.
I,
Yeah.
I mean, I just love the direction that a lot of the companies are going. And even a lot of them are, where before, you know, a CRM system was maybe just a contact system.
Mhm.
They didn't go out into the niche of courses
Mhm.
or offering all of these other things, but they are really spreading their wings and offering so much more for really very reasonable pricing, I would say, today.
Yeah. I mean, you really need to look at what it is you want and need, more need than want. What you need your CRM to do. You make a list of what are the must-haves that your CRM
Mm-hmm.
has to do. And then you might have a list of it'd be nice to have, but then you
Mm-hmm.
really do need, you do want to do your research. I get a lot of people who come to me, want to know if I can help them with such and such a platform. And I'm like, what drew you to that platform? Oh, well, somebody told me to get it. Or the coach I was working with, that's what they use. So
Right.
I want to use it and it's confusing. And I even had somebody come to me once that she was going through her training. She's been a long time Entreport user. And she was like, well, does Entreport talk to Kajabi? Because I need to build my courses in Kajabi. And I'm like, wait, you've used Entreport for years. Why are you building
Why?
a course in Kajabi? Well, this is what
Yeah.
this coach told us to do. And I would like it to look like it looks in Kajabi. And so I brought up my Sandbox account. I did a mock up really quick of a course and lessons for her. I said, is this what you want it to look like? She goes, yes. Well, you don't need Kajabi. you
No.
know, um,
No. I think oftentimes because the coach is showing you how to use it because that's what they know, and you're taking that course, not realizing you already have the tool. It's similar,
right,
but has some differences. And if you watch what they're doing and you already know your system well, you should be able to take what they've taught you
mhm,
and put it together in your system.
right,
There's no need to go out and buy new systems
right,
unless your end goal is totally different for your whole setup, your whole business strategy.
right, right.
I mean,
Yeah,
the pricing's not right,
right,
the software's not right,
right,
but if you've been in that system for a very long time and it's working, then there's no need to make that change.
right. And that's what she said when she started looking at it. And she goes, yeah, because it was going to cost, X amount of money to have now this course in Kajabi when she's already paying for Entreport. And I'm like, yeah, this doesn't make sense. You can do this right within, and I had another coach that came to me, had gone through one of his trainings and I knew he was an Entreport customer, yet his course was in Thinkific. And I was like, why? why are you paying for another platform? So the same thing. And, I did end up moving everything from Thinkific over for him. But, I think, and he was just like, oh, I don't know. I just think if it was easy enough that I could set it up. And, I don't,
Mhm.
I don't know at what point he set that up, if that was the case, it was just wasn't something he wanted to look into or whatever. But I mean, when you get these all in one systems, utilize everything you can in there and utilize integrations into the things that it doesn't have. I mean, I'll tell you, Entreport doesn't have like a shopping cart. So if you're selling like multiples of things, you would need to integrate something with a shopping cart app like Samcart or something like that. But other than that, for like courses and membership sites, your website, all these landing pages, there's just so much you can do right within the platform. And when you're talking about courses and lessons or membership sites, they also have the ability to have a forum in there. You can build out a forum. So, you don't have to necessarily have that Facebook community, which those are getting harder and harder to get any kind of notifications about, and then you've got everybody who's doing the at everyone and, and just, it's hard to get, those notifications. So you can now have this forum built right within the platform as well. So you don't have to go outside for anything like that. You can keep your community and your membership all right in one place. And what's important too, I want to touch base on, like you have your audiences in Facebook, your followers, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, all of this stuff. You want to make sure you're getting these people somehow opted into your email list too, or somehow into your CRM, because I've seen it more than once that, if Facebook goes down or they close an account, they close an Instagram account, and people can't get all these followers back, then they've lost all of this information. So these people are in your system. That is your list that you can reach out to. Email marketing is not dead. I think a lot of people focus so much on the social media, but that can be shut down like that. Make sure these people are on your email list.
Julie, I heard so much. I was at a podcasting conference this past week, actually 2 of them, one butted right up to the next one. And I've heard mixed thoughts for weeks now. This person would say email marketing is dead. Nobody opens those emails. And then this person would say, you got to have an email list. It doesn't matter how big it is, due to what you just said. A social media platform shuts down or it's down for a day. What are you going to do? And I've always thought that as well. You've got to have an email list. You've got to grow it. And so there were some great examples I thought that were given at this podcasting conference about email marketing. And they were sharing some great statistics on money or monetization of email. And it was really eye-opening for me. And it was just, it was eye-opening from the point of embedding, various different offers in the email. It was eye-opening from going from long form email to short form email. It just, you have to do email. Right. There's just no way around that. You have to do email. And like you say, you never know when one social media platform is going to be down a day and what you're going to lose. I've just heard some horror stories about that happening. And I'm hearing more and more stories of people losing either their, I've just started hearing about YouTube accounts being lost, of hundreds of thousands of YouTube customers just gone in a day. But I've heard more about Instagram, accounts being closed down due to either an error or due to something they said. And, you're supposed to get.
People don't even know why they got.
That's what I was about to say. That's what I was about to say. They don't even know why.
Right.
And then when they go to dispute it, it's difficult, number one, to get answers. But one of the guys at this podcast I was at, when it was all said and done, the wrong account got deleted in error. And of course, all they could do was apologize.
Wow.
But it was too late. He couldn't get his accounts back.
Right.
So he had to start all over. And so his point was, if you don't have an email list, what are you going to do? Because he had to start all over on Instagram. And so, it's just so huge. And, you got to have a way to draw them in. And it was just, my email list is not real big, because for a long time I wasn't doing anything. Mm-hmm. So it's just real interesting to me. And so very much an eye opener. And then unsubscribing, going through and unsubscribing to emails is number one, it's time consuming. Number two, I hear people say you unsubscribe and then you tend to maybe you get unsubscribed or you don't get unsubscribed, but it seems like you get more junk mail back. So, I don't know how all of that works, but yeah, it's interesting today. But let's talk about, some of maybe you have a story to tell, but do you have an example? And you don't have to share who the customer is, but do you have an example of how automation has maybe transformed a client's business process? I know just automation in general. Mm-hmm. I've seen transformation. It's helped transform my business. If I didn't have some automation today and I didn't use ChatGPT and some of the things that I had, I would have to have a huge team of people. Right. But let's talk about how automation is transformative today. And maybe you have a generic client that you can share how automation has transformed their business.
I just recently worked with a fitness coach, and she offered in-person training and virtual training. And she was, using the free Gmail account and like Google Forms. And there was just, sending videos and attachments. And there was just so many things that she was dealing with when she was onboarding a new client. I worked with her to find out, like, what is the information you need on the from the forms? What is it, that an in-person client gets versus a virtual client. And literally all she has to do is check a box on if they're in person or if they're virtual. And based on whichever box is checked, triggers an automation that sends the appropriate information to the right client. So she's not going in and, retyping an email every time and looking for the link for a form and, all of this stuff. Everything is automated. And now, they get a welcome series of emails. They get the right forms that they need based on which client they are. So it has just saved her so much time in that whole process of just bringing somebody new on board. And then I had another client that was, taking registrations for Zoom webinars, and how they originally had it set up is like somebody was filling out like a form, their Entreport form, but then they'd click a link and it would go to Zoom, and then they're having to fill that form out. And I was like, let's cut this middleman out. Just have them fill out the form, and we will trigger something that will go and it will fill out the Zoom registration for them. Because you want also, not only do you want to make it easier for yourself, but you want the end user to make it easier for them too. So the user experience just in that case of, okay, I just gave you that information. Why am I having to give it to you again? That has been eliminated.
Mm-hmm. While you were talking about those types of automation, made me think about text messaging in their workflow. Does Entreport offer text messaging?
Yep, you can do text messaging right through there as well. So you can text, reminders for an appointment coming up, or, just if I worked with a coach who they had an automation that ran. It was a huge automation because it was like, I think it was an every day that there was a text prompt that went out, and just kind of like a journaling prompt for their clients. So it was a text message that went out every morning that that gave them the ability to journal that, and I believe it gave them the ability even to respond if they had a question or something. But yeah, you can do text messaging through Entreport as well, which is awesome. Like I said, as much as possible that you can keep in one platform is great, because then you can also see like the contact log, the automation log, so you can see like where are they engaging, what brought them in, what are they, how are they getting tagged, how are they moving through your system,
that customer journey, where they at, what stage they're at in the customer journey. I love that.
Right. Yeah. I did want to backtrack just a little bit when you were talking about like your email list not being very big. I think a lot of times people focus too much on the number of people, when I always say it's quality over quantity, because you want the people who are engaged to be on your email list and who want to get your information. And I wanted to also mention about the whole unsubscribe thing. I think what drives me absolutely crazy is when you hit unsubscribe, maybe a pop-up that says to unsubscribe. Don't send me an email that I've been unsubscribed. I know. I just unsubscribed. I don't need you
I just clicked that button. I just clicked that button. I know that. Don't send me another email. I'm trying to get rid of emails. That's why I'm unsubscribing. Yeah. I batch those things when I'm, it's like I get 100+ emails a day. I'm trying to unsubscribe to a lot of this stuff to avoid getting another email.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. I'm so glad you said that, because again, that was another nugget that I got last week. Is it's not about the number that you have on your list or in your CRM. It's the quality of the audience that you have. It's the people, or it's what you do around your list that is important. And I love that so much, because I don't pay attention to the number. Sometimes when I'm talking numbers, I talk about the number, but I never focus on that number. I'm always focused on my tribe, my community, my people, my audience, because that's my people. That's who I'm serving. That's who I'm helping grow and get to what they want. So they're not a number.
Right.
They're my people, So I love the way you said that, because that was also brought out last week when people were saying, I have less than 100 people on my list, or I have 150 people on my list, or I have 1,000 people on my list. They were like, it's not about the number.
Right.
It's about your people. And I was like, oh, that's such a powerful nugget. I love that.
To keep your quality list is you like quarterly, at least running a re-engagement campaign. And that's just, sending a message out, kind of, making sure that people still want to hear from you, because then that's going to help strengthen your email deliverability, is that you're getting messages out to people who actually want to hear from you.
And I think too, finding out what they want to hear. What do you want to know? What do you want to hear from me? I do that on Facebook every now and then. I'm asking people on Facebook about, what do you want to hear? What do you want to know? Just engaging with some of them. And I think even with part of that, it's segmenting your list. You talked about that early on, but I even segment in social media. I have the everyone list. I never use the at everyone because that irritates the fire out of me. And I'm like, oh, I see in my notifications that somebody messaged me, and I'm like, oh, that's an important person. Let me go see what they had to say. And then I see the at everyone, and it so diminishes the value of what that post is.
Well, I do have to say, so what they did, I don't know if you've noticed that Facebook has made a change in the fact that it used to be that, so-and-so tagged you in a post or mentioned you in a post or whatever. And then you'd go and it would be the everyone. Now the notification is so-and-so mentions you and others in a post.
Yes.
So you see that, it's like, oh, okay, that wasn't at everyone else. I don't have to.
Yeah, I don't need to go look at that. Yeah, I don't need to go look at that because it's an at everyone.
I mean, and I get it because, like I said, it's getting. I think there's just so much noise out there in social media, especially like in Facebook groups, that you end up joining so many, and then you don't get the notifications and you don't get to see all the posts and everything like that. So I see why they did it. And just
yeah, there's so many times, I have to tell you, there's so many times that I want to respond back to those people and say, if you're trying to wake up your algorithm, let me share with you how to do that.
There you go.
Because doing the at everyone is just irritating people. But if you want to wake up your algorithm, there's some great ways to do that, and engaging the right people without doing the at everyone, because you're diminishing the value of your post when you're doing the at everyone, because people aren't going to respond when you do at everyone, because it's like, so here's what it's like. It's like, this is getting off topic a little bit, but in a way it's similar because it kind of goes with email list. But what it's like is inviting someone to a party and inviting 1,200 people when only 14 are going to show up. And so when you look and you see that 1,200 were invited, you were like, oh, well, I'm not really as important as I thought I might be, because they invited 1,200 and only 14 to 20 are going to show up. So, or you're like, I don't want to be in a crowd of 900 people out of the 1,200 or whatever, so it really diminishes that. So it's not personal. That's what I'm trying to say is it's not personal. And when you have a CRM, you have an opportunity to do all of this customization to make your messaging just right, because you can use the tags. When you're putting through somebody or putting individuals through your customer journey, you can control who gets what messages. And that's what makes it so wonderful. And it definitely helps you with the efficiency of your operations, because you're not having to do all of those things manually that you would have to do if you didn't have the system. And that's what I say. If I didn't have the systems that I use, I would have to hire 3 people, which would cost me so much more than what the systems that I'm paying for.
Yeah. You can automate based on, client behavior. What have they recently bought, or several people have several lead magnets, what lead magnet brought them into this. And then you send them down and not only nurture that initial nurture, but then you continue to send them information that's relevant to that. So you're keeping on top of mind about that particular product or offer or whatever. So engaging previous interactions and preferences. I mean, there's just so many things that you can take into account to be able to so pinpoint your message, the messages that you're sending to people, that it's not necessarily, it doesn't have to be like a full on blast to everyone. It can be very, very detailed and very segmented down. But also don't over segment, because then you could get like too confused in your segmentation, and then you really are sending everybody the same thing, you know? So you really kind of have to watch to not over segment either.
Mm-hmm. You said something that I want to bring you back to, and because there's a lot of new entrepreneurs and small business owners that listen in my audience that I think don't really know a lot about customer management systems, and especially understanding everything that it can do for you. And what you mentioned was knowing where the customer came from in the customer journey. And so when, let's say maybe I launched a funnel, a lead magnet to someone, having the capability of knowing whether or not they came to me through Facebook, came to me through LinkedIn, came to me through my website. Talk about that a little bit, because, you know, when we're looking at our analytics, it's important to know where somebody came to us from. Do you want to share a little bit about that and how they can see that through the journey?
So in Entreport, there's fields that you can have for like, that can track where your leads are coming from. And it also can tell you what was their first engagement, what was their most recent engagement. And again, if you're on a specific customer or client's account, you can see exactly what emails have all been sent to them, what text messages, you know, what automations they're on, you know, where maybe they dropped off of one, you know. So there's so much data to look at to be able to figure out like where, you know, what Facebook ad brought somebody in, what, you know, are they coming from Google? Did somebody find them through Google? You know, so that just...
Are they opening my emails?
Well, the problem with that is, since the iOS 15 update, open rates are no longer a valid way to check for your emails. I should say, a valid way to determine who's opening your emails or not. It's going to be more on click-through and conversion rates. And you were talking earlier about like monetizing the emails. So you want to kind of keep more of the short form, but link out to other things. So you can see that people are, okay, maybe they're linked out to one of your offers. And is that converting to a sale, or clicking through to an article you wanted to share? You know, so that's going to show you a better engagement than the open rates, just because of that whole iOS update. Honestly, I really think that field just needs to come out of all CRMs, because it's not a valid number anymore. And I think just so many people have gotten used to using that as a number for so many years that they're like, oh, I've got a 50% open rate. Yes, and probably not. Go see how many people are clicking through on things. How many conversions are you getting from that? Because it's probably not a valid open rate anymore.
Yeah, when I hear people say, and just recently I heard somebody say they had a 62% open rate, and I thought, I don't believe it for a minute. No way do I believe that.
Right.
I mean, what headlines are you using to get that kind of open rate? There's just no way I'm believing that. But anyway, so the point is, you know, for a newbie that's looking for some way to track, you know, how you're getting your customers and understanding the flow is, you know, a great CRM that has all of this automation. This is a good way to track all of this. Are there any misconceptions, Julie, about automation that you think we should address today?
I think one of them is, I think people tend to think that they're for large corporations or large businesses.
True.
And that's not the case. Like how you even said, with all these advancements with AI and everything else, that it's making it more available to the small business owners, which is great because, a lot of us are it's just us, and to be able to automate so many systems and processes and whatever, to take things off of our plate it's great. It's a great feature for us. So, and there, honestly, if there's a CRM out there that fits every individual business's needs, it may not be Entreport. There are so many out there. I could probably
many.
I think I talk to somebody every week and they tell me what CRM they're using. I'm like, never heard of it.
Yeah.
So, and it's not always a one size fits all, so you need to do the research. Like I said earlier, your must haves and your like to haves, and you really want to do the research and find the right platform for your business. And I also mentioned earlier too, it's not just a set it and forget it, that you have to keep continuously monitoring your automations, make improvements as needed, you need to keep checking on them. So I think those are two really big ones.
I agree. Another thing, this is not really a misconception about automation as it is for paying for the cost of automation and the tool. Some people often think I can do it all by myself rather than paying for the tool because I can't afford the tool. But what they don't realize is spending that money for the efficiencies, the automation, and the advancements that they can have in their business by spending that money, whether it's $97, $197, or even $297. The growth and the automation and the stress-free life, personal and professional life that they can have in balancing that by having that tool is really worth it, in my opinion. And that's one of the things that I've really spent quite a bit of time coaching people lately is we need to look at your end goal. Where are you trying to get? What are you trying to achieve? And are there tools out there that can help you get there that are cost effective without really stretching you?
Right.
Because there is, and they're going to fast track your success. But sometimes that's hard. And again, I don't know that it's a misconception as it is just a mindset. It's hard for people to see that giving that money up is really going to fast track their success.
Right.
But man, it's so important.
And it's not always about the cost saving. I mean, that's part of it, but the time saving and the user experience and the fact that you're making things more personable. Like when we talk about the segmenting down, you're making it more personable to them based on, their engagement, their history, their behavior. That you're increasing the user experience, and obviously increasing and having a better user experience is they're going to tell other people, so you want to have that too, it's not always just about saving the money. It's improving the user experience, and it's giving you the time to do some of the other things you want to do to scale and grow your business. And you want to get with a CRM too, that will do that. Like, Entreport has different levels. Like I said, you could start at a very lower level just to get the basics started. And then as you grow and as you need more features, then you go to the next package and the next package. So they've made it I believe they've made it like really a lower barrier to entry for the newer entrepreneurs coming in, because just building that foundation, it's like $29 a month for up to 500 contacts, so
Wow.
right. Right. So you can get in and get things built out. You do your automations, you could do unlimited emails, there's all those kinds of things. And so you can work on growing your list, and then you can go up to the next level when you're ready to do your membership or do your courses and lessons, or start taking payments for something, So I really like that they've done that to make it really easier for people to get on board and start using them, earlier. Right? Like, I wasn't even using Entreport in the beginning. I was piecemealing. I judge no one who comes and says they have all these different platforms. I was the same way. I had the different platforms. I had notebooks of, networking calls, and, so no judgment here. I've been there.
Well, and I tell people that truly can't afford something, start with the spreadsheet.
Yeah.
And I tell them, here's how you need to name your columns. Start with the spreadsheet, name it like this. This is what you need to put in your columns, as you're talking to people over the phone. This is how you need to track it so that you can sort and find the information that you need. But eventually you need to go to a contact management system or customer management system. I use those interchangeably, but you need to eventually go to that. But when you're talking $29 a month, you're talking one supper,
right?
One supper. I oftentimes spend that for lunch. So, that's very affordable. And I do highly recommend that you don't try to implement it all at one time, because you're going to be overwhelmed. You start with, maybe just entering your contacts. And when you get comfortable with that, then start with email, or, and just move yourself up by levels, like you say. And once you've used everything in the $29 membership, then you move it up to the next membership, and you grow with where you are, for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I love that. So, we pretty much have given, the audience, advice of, how to use and where to start. How do you stay on top, Julie, of all of the evolving trends and different automations that are coming out, and the overwhelm with the technology evolution today? How do you stay on top of all of that?
Well, being a certified Entreport expert, I have the privy of getting to see the new features that are being built behind the scenes, and a lot of times, as a certified expert, I get the opportunity to be a beta tester if I want to some of the new things before they launch it to out to the public or their contacts or their customers. I also do a lot of networking with people who support other platforms. I'm all about that. I mean, there's enough of this pie for everybody, and I want to have conversations with those people too, because, like I said, Entreport might not be the right platform, but I have people who support Kajabi, Go High Level, who Keep. I know people. I have people in my Rolodex, CRM, of people who support those platforms. So having conversations with them too, and kind of what we're seeing and what's happening, and and just, I mean, it's coming fast. Like, just things are changing so quickly. And I think one of the things that I really love about Entreport is that they are right there listening and seeing what's happening and seeing what needs to be implemented they're constantly rolling out new features on a very regular basis. So they're staying up to date. I know they're working on something with regards to AI too. I mean, there's some AI already integrated, but they're looking to improve that and enhance it. So, being part of a platform that keeps not only the experts up to date, but it keeps, their customers up to date too on what's going on is, I think, very important.
That's awesome. So, Julie, with what you're saying there, I mean, I'm sure one of the ways that you could keep up with, the trends, the technologies and all of that is probably doing one of the things that I do. And that is, jumping into HubSpots and Go High Level and some of these other Facebook groups, watching them on LinkedIn, watching what they're doing, and having conversations, like you said, with other people. But I mean, like as a coach, I jump into some of these other Facebook groups and I'm watching, what they're doing, what they're saying, conversations that they're having, webinars that they're having, and all of those types of things. So I'm sure that you do some of that as well.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Newsletters, blogs. I mean, there's enough information out there, for us to read and listen to if we just do it.
Right.
So, but you have to stay on top of it or you're not going to be able to, take care of your clients for sure. Yep. Yeah. So how do you, and we're coming up on the time here, but there's just a couple of other things that I want to know. How do you measure the success of the CRM strategies that you implement for your clients? Is it based upon their growth success, or how do you measure that from your clients?
Right. So, and maybe you've heard KPIs. So those like key performance indicators.
Yes, key performance indicators.
So customer retention rates, the customer lifetime value, conversion rates, and sales growth, if they're, how are they doing in that area? And again, tracking the engagement metrics of like the click-throughs and the conversion rates that we talked about earlier. And like getting and analyzing customer feedback. I mean, because that's something that you always want to get to, because, there may be a hole somewhere in the process where somebody, might be having a bad user experience or something like that. And you need to know where that is and go in and fix it, and what needs to be improved to improve, the customer satisfaction too.
Yeah, I really like that. One last question is, looking back over your whole time and journey in working in technology and CRMs, what's one thing, if you can think of one thing, that you wished you would have known way back when that you know now?
As far as starting my business, I really wish I would have known about CRMs. Like I said, when I started my business, I did exactly what a lot of my clients that are coming into me, and we talked about that already. I had all these different platforms, and I would sign up for like shiny object syndrome is real.
It's so real.
Should be a support.
FOMO and FOMO.
So going and getting all the free or low cost solutions that just ended up costing me in the long run, because, while I had something I was using for my clients and I had something that I was using for my email, again, I had notebooks and notebooks of networking calls and contacts and whatever. How am I going to follow up with those people that are in a notebook, So I really wish I would have had a CRM from the word go, because it has made such a difference. I even have a networking follow-up automation, so I'm even using automations in that way too. I really think, and you can find the right CRM at the right price point for getting started, because I really wish, I'll tell you even how I got started with using Entreport myself. I mean, I became a certified Entreport expert. I was still using these other platforms. I wrote an article about when it's time to invest in a CRM. And I was like, oh my God, I'm writing this article for me.
We do that sometimes. We do.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes we are our own avatar.
very much so. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was, I wrote that and I'm reading it going, oh my gosh, signed up for Entreport. Like, I'm like, which made sense anyways. I should be a product of my product, but I didn't, I think you're just so in the weeds of it when you're first getting started that I didn't think even about that. So, yes, very, very happy I went that route and I'm using it myself. And, I just feel like I said, I think too many people get all these promises of all these platforms are going to do all the things for them. And then they just sit there on a shelf and collect dust, so to speak.
Oh, I tell people that every day.
Right.
Every day. I have had some technologies. I mean, I have some technologies today that I've paid a lifetime subscription for.
Yeah.
And I probably will have some more. But because I test a lot of technology because I want to know how to help people in the future. I don't pay a lot for them.
Right.
But I do a lot of testing. And but yeah, I mean, I help people with that. I help people get rid of things that they don't use. Right. And we do that. And I have a reminder. I just told somebody this yesterday. I did a one-on-one and I shared this with them yesterday. It is so good to have a reminder in your calendar for at least quarterly that you're taking a look at all of your annual, your quarterly, your semi-annual subscriptions, and you're literally asking yourself, how are these working towards my ultimate goal?
Right.
And if they're not, you need to think about, do you need to end those subscriptions? Where right now, this quarter, I may be thinking, yes, I still need this subscription because I'm going to do something with this next month or next quarter. But then next quarter comes. I mean, we're always changing things in our business. And I just recently had a charge, and I missed this one because I don't know how I missed it, but I did. I had one hit my card for $897. And I almost thought it was fraud. I had to go back and do some research. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, the entire year last year, I never even accessed that training portal. And I couldn't dispute it because it was mine. I did it. I did it a year ago. Right. And so now I have it for another year.
Right.
And so I had to put it in my calendar that it was going to, come due. So 3 months prior to it coming due, I put on there, cancel if I'm not going to keep it anymore. Yeah. So I can go out there and terminate that. But prior to that, every 3 months, I'm asking myself, if I've not logged into this, am I going to be using it? So, I mean, we just need to always be asking ourselves about these subscriptions. Stop wasting money if we're not going to be using them, because there may be a CRM out there that we can use, in its place.
Right.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. And so, again, I said to somebody yesterday, my contact list is my biggest asset because I'm all the time referring people. I'm connecting people all the time. That is my biggest asset. Right. Because when I refer people are all the time. I grew my business on referrals. Mm-hmm. That's my biggest asset. And so I tell people, it's so critical. If you hear nothing else outside of go check out Entreport, start building your list of contacts so that you do have an email list. And then when you have an email list, start emailing them. Don't let that sit on the shelf like I did for so long. Mm-hmm. But my email list, my network is so big. I wish my list was as big as my network, but I would be doing really well. But seriously, your contact list is so important. You've got to have that list so that when people say, do you know somebody. Almost all the time you can say, I do, or I know somebody who probably will. Let me reach out. So that's so important. So Julie, in closing, it has been so good to have this conversation with you. I could talk for hours about this type of stuff. I want to know, or I want my audience to know, that if they have questions about this, or they want to reach out to you about Entreport, or even working on their to-do list, time management, getting efficiencies in their operations, where can they find you? What social medias, or and we will put these in the show notes, but where would you like for them to reach out to you?
So my email is julie@tackleyourtodo.com. My website is tackleyourtodo.com. I'm probably more active on LinkedIn than anything, but I'm also on Alignable. And if possible, I would like to include a freebie that I have where people can do a tech stack review on their own, where they can list all those systems that they have purchased and, determine if they're using them or not. And there's just like a worksheet and a video that goes with it that just will help people to kind of, really see what it is that they are using. I recently shared that with somebody, and she came back and she goes, I just realized I need to trim like $6,000 a year, like, of systems that I'm paying for, like what you said, going through. She goes, I didn't realize I was paying for all this stuff.
Yes, people don't.
So they don't.
People don't. Yeah. So if you will get that freebie to me, I will make sure that it gets in the show notes. So for sure. You. Yeah, for sure. So in closing, I wanted to thank every single one of you who have listened to this. If you would leave your takeaways in the comments, both Julie and I would greatly appreciate that. We will respond to your comments. And if you want to join my community, it's Influence and Growth Mastery. We will leave the link for you to join that as well. I am just building that community. It's been, I've been building it since about Thanksgiving of 2023. The first 100 people in there will be founding members, and then after that, there will be a charge for the membership. So again, we will leave the link to that in the show notes. And if you have not subscribed to your favorite listening channel, please do that, Influence and Growth Mastery, and then subscribe on our YouTube channel, Influence and Growth Mastery. And until next week, we will see you all later. Hope you have a great week, and God bless you.